The United States judicial system classifies rape as a felony punishable by up to 20 years in prison, depending on the different circumstances such as usage of force or the age of the victim. Rape is one of the most difficult crimes to prosecute, however, because oftentimes the victim doesn't want to come forward and work with police, and oftentimes it's difficult to prove. However, as the Daily Beast in September of 2015 points out, rape is semi-legal in 13 states, as long as the victim is your spouse. Traditional rape laws in the United States defined rape as forced sexual intercourse by a male with a female, not his spouse, making it clear that the statute did not apply to married couples. Beyond oversimplifying sexual assault and rape, claiming that only the male could be the attacker, beyond that, the definition excludes male and female victims of marital rape. Just because you're married to someone doesn't mean you give up your right to refuse sex from them. Marital rape has been swept under the rug for far too long. There's a fundamental lack of knowledge and statistics on this issue, which is exacerbated by out-of-date stigmas. But first, let's look at our lack of knowledge on the issue of marital rape. The Organization for Health Research Funding has found only 2 instances of research being done on the prevalence of marriage rape in our society. These studies have concluded that 70% of victims have been raped multiple times by their spouse. 36% of marital rapes include other forms of physical violence during the act. Additionally, they found that only 3.2% of marital rapes were actually reported to the police, compared to 34% of other types of rape. This is a nationwide problem. 2 separate surveys done in San Francisco, California, and Boston, Massachusetts, found that 8% of married women in San Francisco were sexually assaulted by a partner, and 10% of married women randomly surveyed in Boston had been sexually assaulted by their partner in the past. Even though we have these numbers, we don't know how prevalent this problem is. More data is needed to get a clearer picture, but from the information we do have, we can see that this is a problem that clearly needs to be addressed, and research into it needs to be done and funded. However, beyond our lack of knowledge, there is a stigma behind marital rape that allows it to exist. There is a stigma against marital rape, and many believe that you cannot be raped if you are married, as if a wedding ring gives a blanket consent to all sexual activity going forward. In healthy, non-abusive relationships, this may be very possible. However, not all relationships are healthy. Marital rape tends to happen in abusive relationships, and by not having marital rape laws, we are simply empowering abusive spouses to keep tormenting and abusing their partners. We need to fight back against the idea that marriage gives consent and recognize that in abusive, loveless marriages, which do exist, your spouse can be just as damaging and dangerous as a total stranger. But how can we solve this? First, we need to treat marital rape victims as what they are, rape victims. Listen to them, believe them, and allow them to get their story out in whatever way they feel comfortable in doing. Beyond the stigma against rape victims, marital rape victims are often believed to be faking it or doing it for attention, not unlike other rape victims. Listen to them, believe them, and most importantly, just like you're dealing with any other victim of a crime, just act like a decent human being who understands them and allows them to get their point across. Beyond this, consider donating to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, or RAIN for short. They're the largest anti-sexual assault organization trying to shed light on all victims of sexual violence, including marital rape victims. They help provide services that allow victims to tell their story and have someone believe them. If you live in one of the 13 states that are lax on marital rape, contact your legislator and tell them that this is simply unacceptable. In February of this year, 2017, a bill was raised in the Ohio State Congress, one of the states that have these lax marital rape laws. This bill ultimately failed because it could not get enough popular support amongst the congressmen. By contacting your congressman and tell them that this is simply unacceptable, by empowering the perpetrators of these crimes, this is completely unacceptable. And by putting the pressure on them that this is unacceptable and something needs to be done, we can get a law passed that would treat marital rape the same as any other type of sexual violence. By doing this, we need to contact our representatives and show them this is an important issue that will not be swept under the rug any longer. Marriage is not a blank check for consent. By pushing for more marital rape laws, we can work to protect victims in abusive relationships and allow them the same dignity and support that we would give any other kind of victim.